All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sitting here with Mona Van Joseph, aka Mystic Mona. She is a psychic tarot consultant. This is something that I'm not familiar with, but we're going to learn. We've actually been trying to set up this interview for months now? Maybe
Yeah.
6 months or so.
And then Halloween month came around and we went, oh, this might be good.
Perfect. Yeah. Mona's also going to perform a live reading. There are a lot of listeners for my show, but also in Vegas that are very interested in the psychic world or the spiritual world. I think there's a bunch of different formalities or names that you could surround your endeavors with. But yeah, thank you for coming on.
Oh, thanks a lot. So I actually call myself an intuitive tarot consultant. And I try and sprinkle the word psychic, like just using a tiny bit of salt, and actually lean more using the word intuitive. Because when I actually look at someone's reading and I'm looking at their cards and I'm picking up a lot of energy as soon as I meet them, it basically the cards either confirm it or allow me to go in a different direction depending on how they come up. But I have been able to focus my intuitive ability with cards now for over 40 years.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And there was also a list of things that Mona's been involved with. She's a host of her own show, Psychic View, and she's had her license for almost 20 years already.
Right.
Can you, for starters, there is so many people who claim to, be a psychics. I didn't even realize there was a licensing process behind it. Take us a little bit through your story and leading up to getting a license out here in Las Vegas.
So here's the thing, is that the psychic arts license is not a test of psychic ability. The psychic arts license is literally a criminal background investigation that's performed by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. And all it is to basically show people that you haven't taken little old ladies for their life savings, all right? Because it's as extensive as going through a background investigation for a gaming license. So I could probably get a gaming license just as easily because I already have and maintained the psychic arts license since 2002. But there are probably thousands of readers in Vegas. There's probably only about 100 of us that are licensed. So I actually tell people, I don't care if you come to me or not. It doesn't matter. I mean, I offer my little radio program so people can call in and ask a free question, right? Hey, am I the right reader for you? Call in and ask a question and see if it resonates with you. The thing is that I just want you to make sure that if you're looking for a reader in Las Vegas, that you check, because all the people that are licensed are listed in their specific jurisdiction. So City of Henderson, City of North Las Vegas, City of Las Vegas is where I have mine, and Clark County. So those are the jurisdictions that list the psychic arts license. And you want to actually ask for that. Now, there's also another requirement with that, is that when you go to somebody's office, which typically has to be in a commercial zoned place, so going to someone's house could be a bit of a red flag. All right. Or if somebody insists that they come to your house, or if somebody insists that we do this at a coffee shop, right? You actually want to go to their office. You want to see the psychic arts license because it has to be posted. And the amount you charge has to be in 1-inch letters on another framed piece of paper, like a notice.
So they're not taking advantage of somebody.
Exactly. So, and I could probably go the whole hour and talk about how people get scammed. But it's, if you go to psychicartslicense.com, you can actually read the 5 top scams by readers that are technically not licensed. Now, it's not to say that licensed readers might also try and pull something on you, but it's less likely because they want to maintain that license. See what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, because it's also, like you said, it's intuitive. It comes internal, right, from the skills. Growing up at a young age, or maybe from your young womanhood, was there a moment in your life where you realized that you had something special that was different from everyone else?
Yes. And the funny thing is I've always been asked the question, well, are you like the 7th daughter of the 7th whatever? And I'm like, no. What happened was I had gone to a girlfriend's house, and her mother, really lovely Catholic woman, had this little hobby of reading tea leaves. So she taught me how to read tea leaves. Well, what happened is it was almost like a fish jumping into water after never being in water and going, oh my God, this is what it's really supposed to be like. So I was able to learn how to read tea leaves. Well, I graduated to cards. And when I could actually do a spread of cards for people, it was like looking at their story, looking at exactly what's going on with them now and what's likely to happen moving forward. So I was probably 15.
Wow.
When I figured all that out.
Were you out here in Las Vegas or?
No, California. I grew up in California. But the neat thing about that is that people would ask me, and of course I'm just a teenager. I have absolutely no life experience as a teenager, except, not being asked to the prom, that sort of thing. But what happened is when I got about 19, and again, I grew up in San Diego, and there's a Denny's that's on El Cajon Boulevard that when I was bar age was called the Gay Denny's. All right. It's just the Gay Denny's. And so we would go to WCPC, West Coast Production Company. We'd dance all night. We'd have a really great time. And then we'd all go to the Gay Denny's. All right. And we would stay there till 2 a.m. You feel sorry for the waitresses there because people would park at these booths. And I think there were maybe only 18 booths in the whole place and a counter. They'd park there for hours, and maybe the waitress might get a 50-cent tip. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was because it was back in the day. Well, anyway, one of these evenings I did a reading for this guy, and the cards were so dark and so scary. I mean, even my standards, scary. And I said, this is saying that there's somebody around you that's lost their life. He goes, oh yeah, someone was shot right outside of my apartment. And it freaked me out so much that I went, I'm going to put these down. So I actually didn't touch my cards for 10 years. I literally put them down, found them in a drawer, and started reading again when I was in my late 20s, early 30s. And then when my husband and I moved to Vegas, which was in 96, when we moved here, I had people telling me all the time, because I would do it as a hobby. I wasn't charging people. I was just doing it as a hobby, just for friends. People were saying, you really need to get licensed. You really need to do this as a professional business. And so we were at a dinner party, and we came up with the name Mystic Mona, and that's kind of where it all happened. So it took me a few years to actually decide to do that. But then when I got licensed, my very first gig right out of the box was at the Venetian. So I got hired for their 11 days of Carnival, and they made a tent for me, this beautiful tent, and I was doing readings for all the people for free. It was very cool. And then I got hired that year for New Year's Eve. So, and that was when, who's the gal that used to date Sheryl Crow? Sheryl Crow performed for that New Year's Eve. And it was magical, absolutely magical. So, wow. In kind of a nutshell, that's how I ended up getting licensed. Yeah.
It's a perfect Vegas story. You're intertwining within the entertainment that exists in Vegas, and that's what makes it so prestigious.
Right. So my whole idea of doing what I do is to change the perception of readers, right? Which is why I have no problem inviting another reader to come with me to an event if I need more than one reader, as long as they have the psychic arts license. And I will check, because most of the people that hire me, they want people that aren't going to scam the people that just lost $250,000 in the casino, because I get booked for these high roller events. So, and technically what happens is you get to really know these regulars, because I get booked. There's several casinos, they book me every year for certain things, and you get to know them, and they can't wait to see you when you get there, because, you've been kind of you're part of the team in a way. There was something, I was going to say something about that. Now I can't remember what it is. Oh well, don't get old.
So when you're interpreting your abilities, I know there's multiple mediums you could channel through. It seems like your preference are cards. Some people do it through, I guess, storytelling. Does it, when a intuitive chooses a different medium, does it downgrade, or I guess I would say, does it downgrade like the ability or the experience of what the psychic is trying to portray to you?
So people will find the thing that allows them to tap into their intuitive ability. And once they find that thing, they usually want to stay loyal to it or, connect in it. Now, there are other things I can do, and I do these at parties. So it's not a full 1 hour reading like it would be with my cards. But I can read palms. I'm amazing with numerology. I've got just enough astrology know how to make my readings even more effective. All right. Because when you're reading tarot, you can't help but also learn about astrology and numerology because of the numbers and the way the cards come up, because the cards relate to the same signs as the astrology: air, earth, fire, water. So you can't help but have a little of that incorporated. I actually can do the tea leaf reading. I can do cigar ash readings, which is very similar to tea leaf readings. And actually, I think it might be kind of fun if I got hired at a marijuana lounge once they really get going, and people could take their roach, if they don't mind wasting that last little puff, and they could actually, what's the word? Grind it up with their fingers and put it on a wet piece of paper, and I could actually read that. So the thing is that I can actually read with crystals too. But again, these are little party tricks, for lack of a better way to put it. I'm very good at tapping on energy with people as soon as they walk in. I've been hired at some of the larger department stores to do lipstick readings. So a woman will actually put lipstick on a specific brand that they're actually promoting, and they'll kiss a card, and then I'll read their lip prints.
Interesting. And so when you're performing these different tasks or these different readings, what is pushing you in the direction of, let's say, one card or another, or the interpretation? Is it a existence or an energy that we can't see but you can see? Is it a relation to the person across from you? What's that process?
I don't see dead people. And I don't advertise anywhere that I'm a medium, because I think if your Aunt Betty wants to get in touch with you, Aunt Betty's going to find her way to get in touch with you. That's my belief. So I tend to be incredibly skeptic with people that say they can connect with those on the other side, because, let's say your great grandfather wanted to connect with you. You would get that message from some means, whether you had a dream about it. But to answer your question, I just get a feeling. So when I'm going to do your cards here in a minute, I'm going to be able to see what's going on with you and what's likely to happen moving forward. But let me talk about that. My whole tagline is predicting your potential. So when I'm looking at someone and I'm going, oh my God, Jake, you are going to kick butt and take names, I actually might see that in the cards. But I already picked that energy up about you because you're trying a lot of different things and you're waiting to find the one that the match strikes with. So it's not that you have not been successful at all these other things you're trying. You are, but you're waiting for the match to light. You're waiting for that match to light so that you can go all in with your energy. One of the things that I absolutely love about you, and again, this is just my visiting with you for the few minutes I've been here, is that people think you're hard to get to know, and it's not that at all. You actually aren't hard to get to know. You're just very picky who gets to be in your circle of friends. So first and foremost, they have to be smart enough for you. And that's why when an attractive person throws their sexual energy at you, it actually kind of pisses you off and insults you, because I'm just picking this up from you and we haven't even done cards yet. But the thing is that to you, that kind of connection is saved for someone that's smart enough for you, whose ethics are aligned in the right way, whose heart's in the right place, and who has goals. Then you might look and see, well, do I also find them sexually attractive? You're just not somebody that, you're not a player. There might have been a time you did that, but you got really bored with it. Because if there's nothing up here, if there's nothing that connects you to be able to talk to the person, you'll get turned off from them very easily, which is why it's irritating for you when anybody throws their sexual energy at you first, because you're like, well, yeah, and what else you got? I mean, that's you. So that's without doing the cards. That's just me picking up energy about you.
Yeah, that gave me a little bit of chills right there. That's like pretty on point, I have to say.
Well, because here's the thing, is that there's plenty of time to be romantically involved. There's plenty of time for that. And the thing is that you know that you have a certain goal that you want to accomplish. It could be a certain amount in your bank account, whatever it is, but you're not going to take the next step in romance until you achieve that goal. It's just how you're wired. And a lot of people don't understand that. So with you, it's the long game.
Always has been. Always has been.
Because you're looking for the whack job factor as well. That's why, I always tell people, Date someone for at least a year and a half before you make any major decisions about should they be a part of your life. And the best way to treat them is like your annoying little brother or sister, not like they have hung the stars on the moon and that they're supposed to be on a pedestal. And do you see what I mean? It's not a worship factor. It's a partnership factor. And so, I basically try to relate that to people, and some of them just don't get it. So
when you're on the other side and you've been doing this now for, a little over 20 years professionally and as an amateur, are you picking up on the person's social cues? Is it more of a body language? Is there a component outside of the energy that speaks to you more?
Well, here's the thing is that I'm not a news junkie. All right. And I think that makes me a better reader because I'm not a news junkie. I tend to be more positive than the average reader. I mean, just by what people have told me. Oh my God, your energy is so positive. Oh my God, yes, I'm seeing this crap that you're going through, but let's use that crap as fertilizer and move forward. Because the worst kind of people to hang around are the ones that still sit in their crap. Because at some point you start smelling like their crap. Do you see what I mean? So you got to look at every crap that's thrown at you as though it's an opportunity to be fertilizer. You learn from it and you grow. My favorite card in the tarot is the 0 card, and it's called the Fool, right? The Fool means that your spirit couldn't wait to be in this lifetime. You couldn't wait to be here. You didn't give a flying crap about how you got here. You just couldn't wait to be here. Because when we're waiting on the other side for the human experience, and I believe we're here many, 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 many times, and I believe that some people just seem to resonate more to us than others, and I think that that's that soulmate connection. I also believe that you choose your parents. I believe you choose your partner, who, whenever you actually meet that person, whenever it is. I believe that you choose a lot of the big crap that happens in your life, because whether it's good or bad, you choose it because of karma. You choose it for the human experience. And usually the stronger the spirit, the more intense the crap that they're going through. Yeah. And I'm really doing a good job not cussing right now.
Hey, if you prefer expressing yourself in something that maybe isn't preferable to some of those listening, I'm more than okay with that.
You're so funny.
It's funny you say that because one of my life quotes I used to say is like, we are an embodiment of our own decision making. And sometimes some people have a hard time accepting that, and that they're unable to overcome those life struggles because they're playing the victim card, essentially.
And now you're bringing up another hot topic with me, is that I have a really hard time with people that want to stay in the victim vibration, and that's what I call it. And there have been people that glom on to me because I am very positive. I will look for the light in a situation. I always look for the highest possible potential in any situation. And sometimes I've had people, and I'm going to call them Klingons, that they feed off that. Well, it gets very wearing to cheer someone up that's not willing to be cheered up.
It is. They refuse. They refuse. And so this kind of idea exists it's very common on the strip for people to play the victim card, even though they're making a large amount of money. And we discussed this a little bit before I started recording. That was the main reason why I left the nightclub was because of the toxicity behind it.
Right.
Everyone they're not grateful, and you don't have to be overly verbose with your gratefulness and gratitude. But at some point you have to accept that we're in a city that is one of a kind, and these people are coming to see you, and you should you should put on a good face and be happy and not talk behind the scenes about the things that they're doing, even though they're the ones that are lining your pockets with cash.
Right. Exactly. And the thing is that, we have, I'm probably going to say something very controversial. All right. But I'm going to say it this way. Compassion is a choice, not a compulsion. All right. So when you're compassionate to someone, or at least from my perspective, if I'm compassionate with you, or if I'm compassionate because of a cause, it's because I choose to be. So I'm probably one of the only psychics in town that do all of the fundraisers I do for Help of Southern Nevada, for the Poppy Foundation, for Urban Underdogs, for American Heart Association, for Safe Nest. I do all these fundraisers where I either show up and do readings and donate 100% of what I raise to them, or I create them. So I do 3 a year that I've created. The first is Tiaras and Tequila. And I do that at Grape Street. And I do that I was doing it around National Tiara Day, which is May 24th. But we do it in May. So we just do Tiaras and Tequila. And 100% of what that raises goes to Help Us Southern Nevada. My big event is the one that's coming up next week on October 27th, which is the 5th annual Night of the Witches. So that's where people get dressed up. This would be really fun for you. It would be great networking for you. A lot of people that are entrepreneurs like you are would be there. Great networking, just really fun people. So I do that one. And then usually on January 2nd or 3rd, I do the Intuitive Showcase, where I invite other licensed psychic readers. And we actually do the mini readings for the New Year's for people. And half of it goes to the reader and half of it goes to Urban Underdogs. Have you heard of Urban Underdogs?
I'm not familiar with it.
Urban Underdogs is the cool. Are you a dog person or a cat person?
I've always been a dog person. I've been growing a little bit to become a cat person, but I've grown up always been dogs.
So Urban Underdogs is this organization that actually takes care of the pets owned by homeless people. So you know how you'll see somebody begging for money and they've got a dog there and you're like, oh, well, I'm going to give them money because I want them to take care of the dog. Well, we're not sure if they're actually taking care of the dog, right? So again, there's that compassion versus compulsion thing. So Urban Underdogs actually takes these dogs, gets them veterinarian care, gets them fixed, provides them food, gives them blankets and toys. So they do all of that for these dogs. And it's amazing. So when I stumbled across this particular organization, I decided I would create something especially for them because, Help Us Southern Nevada runs the Shannon West Homeless Youth Center. And the neat thing about that is that they actually take these kids off the street. And these are all teenagers, sometimes even younger. Some of them have been subject to trafficking. And they basically get them their high school equivalency or diploma. They help them get a job. They usually show up with just the clothes on their back. And it's, again, an amazing organization, which is why I feel compelled to help them.
Wow.
So for me, that's where the compulsion comes in. So how can I help? And I help.
You do. That's why I have a lot of friends who go to readers or psychic or whichever person to find some sort of compassion. That's a lot of people. It's like a pseudo therapist in a sense.
The difference between a psychic and a therapist, and again, my opinion, is that a therapist is going to help you realize where you might have gone astray and maybe how you can fix it. And I'm telling you, therapists are the most amazing people in the world, and I have several that actually come to me. All right, but what a psychic will do. And what I do is I'll sit there and I'll go, well, this is why you're doing it. Now you just don't do it anymore. For example, there was this woman, her mom, she had her when she was 14. Her mom had her when she was 14. And then mom, basically by the time she was 16 or 17, was into prostitution and drugs. So this poor little gal was like transferred around family homes until she got old enough to actually start taking care of her mom, who now had another child, right? So now it's a sister from another father. Well, she ends up taking responsibility for the family, making sure that she learns how to cook when she's 8 years old. She's cleaning the house. She's taking care of her little sister because mom's zoned out, right? Mm-hmm. Now there are aunts and there's a grandma. There's some people helping. So she's like, I just feel like I've never gotten a break. And I said, well, I wouldn't look at your life like that at all. And she goes, what do you mean? And I said, well, I think the younger that you deal with challenges and the more intimate the relationship when you deal with those challenges, I think the stronger your spirit is. So in other words, you learned to be a survivor when you were very young. And no one can ever take that away from you.
That's a good life skill to have.
Right. So here's the thing, is that, you can keep dwelling and sitting in that crap from the past. Or you can say, no, I'm a survivor. And now I've decided to be a thriver. So in other words, I basically spin it around and go, no, I wouldn't look at it like this at all. Your spirit couldn't wait to be here. You didn't care how you got here. You didn't really care.
Yeah, you're helping them change the perspective.
Exactly. So when you say you're the captain of your own ship, you create this life, you look around you and you go, this is exactly what I want. I remember when I was doing the Midnights with Mona radio program on KDON back in 2004. I did that for about a year, Monday through Friday, midnight to 1. I remember I would drive to the Plaza Hotel to do this, and I would say, this is the life. Oh my gosh, I've got a radio program that is heard in 15 states. I have people, it would make the host before my program mad because they would start calling in at the end of his program and he would actually yell at them. It was pretty funny. So they weren't allowed to call in until 12:03, right? But it was popular. It was wonderful. And then flash forward to when I was on Jimmy Kimmel in 2019. There was a shuttle driver that was driving one of the buses for the thing I was doing with Jimmy Kimmel. And he goes, are you the same Mona that did Midnights with Mona? Now this is 15 years later. And I went, yes, that was me. He goes, I liked that show. It was on in the middle of the night and I used to drive a cab and I would listen to you. And the callers and because I had some regulars, but mostly they were all new callers because, 15 states would listen to this really powerful AM station. So it was a boatload of fun. I digress. I just went off subject.
No, that's completely incredible. Also note that Jimmy Kimmel's from Vegas. He's
I know.
He's a local hero.
That was, and I have to tell you, I actually got to do his card reading, but they didn't broadcast it when they did the segment. They just broadcasted the thing about the bride, and I did Guillermo's reading too, which was really cool. But I actually did Jimmy Kimmel's reading, and he actually said, all joking aside, he goes, yeah, that was very accurate. And to get like that kind of credentials from someone that has, again, look at what he's achieved. Yeah. He's got one of the most popular late night shows. He's incredibly honest. Of course, people from Vegas very, very much resonate to him because he's from here. Now he's got his own comedy club, right? So it's just awesome.
So when you're on the other side of the table and you give I don't know, you call them a client, a guest,
client,
yeah. and they tell you, wow, this is incredibly accurate. What do you feel when you subscribe that to somebody else?
Well, anytime someone tells me that what I told them was meaningful, it just validates that I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing as a career. Right. Mm-hmm. So, and again, I started out charging $45 for a session that lasted an hour. Right. I charge more than that now, but not that much more really. And what happens is that each year I was raising my rates till I'm been at the same rates now for probably the last 4 years. But when somebody comes to see you and they're actually paying you to see you and you're telling them something that resonates to exactly what's going on with them, of course that's validating. I mean, it's and I'm not always right. I'll be the first person to say that. I have the perfect story to share with you on this. There was this woman, and see, you would love this story because it kind of resonates to where you are right now. This woman was beautiful. She had a master's degree. She was all successful all on her own. Well, she had in her radar this fella. And so when she called to make the appointment, she goes, I got something cooking in my brain, and I just want to validate that I'm on the right path, so I'd like to do a reading with you. So I do this reading with her, and she's like, I want to make sure, and I'm going to just make up a name. Will I marry Sam? All right, this guy in her radar. And I said, Sam is a confirmed bachelor according to these cards. And as long as you can make the goal that you'll be his companion of choice, you can be with him for the rest of your life. But I don't think that he wants to get married. Well, that didn't make her happy at all. But when I see it, I'm going to say it. And I didn't see him ever wanting to get married because at the time, he was in his 50s. He had a successful career. He had a beautiful house. He had an amazing girlfriend. And they were at an age where they weren't going to have children. So why would you get married? Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, seriously, you're both successful. You're both going in the same direction. Why do you need to get married? And so I said, it might not be a ring and a date, but it might be a ring. It might be a nice, beautiful, sparkly promise ring as a no pest strip to tell everybody else that you're taken. By the way, do you know what a no pest strip is?
No.
Oh, I got to tell you. Okay. See, it's so nice talking with people that are young because there are references that are funny if you get them. Okay, so back in the 70s, they probably are illegal now because they probably had DDT in them and all these bad pesticides. But there used to be something called a no pest strip, and it was this tube, and you would twist it, and when you pulled it apart, it would have sticky tape, and you would hang them around your patio to attract mosquitoes and flies. And the flies and mosquitoes would stick to it, all right? Okay. But it was called a no pest strip. So sometimes I refer to somebody that's in a serious relationship, if they're wearing a ring on their left hand, the wedding band hand, that it's a no pest strip. I mean, it basically is, oh, she's taken. She's spoken for. And you don't actually have to have a piece of paper for that, you see? So, but she was mad. And I said, well, I'm sorry that I didn't satisfy what you had cooking in your head. And I actually refunded her because she was so mad, you know? I'm like, okay. Yeah. And of course now I'm dying of curiosity. This happened like five or 6 years ago. I'm dying of curiosity to see if she actually got married. Cause I wrote down that information because I don't refund people very often, like maybe 5 times in 20 years, because I don't really need to, right? But I refunded her because she was being such a Karen about it.
I love that you use that reference. Oh my God, there's so many of them.
Yeah, she was. I mean, it was, yeah.
Yeah, I could see it being mostly very rewarding. I mean, just the few things you told about me was like pretty on point.
Right.
So,
right.
Do you want to dive into the reading?
Let's do it. Okay. So can you come over to my side of the table for a minute?
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to have you do is with your left hand, I want you to just draw me 5 cards and make a little pile right here with your left hand.
Has to be with the left?
Closest to your heart. Okay. All right.
Like a specific way to go about this?
Nope. And I'm just going to do this little mini spread for you because I'm not sure we're going to be able to spend a whole hour just doing your reading. So I'm just going to do this mini spread, and you can go back and sit over there because we want to hear what you have to say. So you have a card here that talks about, wow, you love chaos. The more chaotic things are, the happier you are. That's what this card says. So for those people out there that are familiar with the tarot, I'm going to actually tell you the traditional meaning of all these cards. So this first card is literally called the Tower in traditional tarot. And of course, you know the old Tower of Babel story from the Bible is that they were building this monument to God and God went, oh, heck no. And so he basically destroyed it. But when he destroyed it, he actually changed all the languages of the people so they couldn't talk to each other. So hence the word Babel, right? So what happened was it's a total surprise destruction or upsetness when it's upright. When it's reversed, you actually kind of like to cause a little chaos. You actually like to put something in someone's head that makes them think in a different way. You're also the person that if you were negotiating a deal, you actually negotiate it a lot like an attorney would. So you've done the research. The funny thing, and this is what I think I delight in you about, is that people underestimate you all the time. But you kind of like it when they do, because then you come from left field, all right? So now the next card, I'm going to tell you the actual meaning of the card, but it means something really good because of this card. This is the card called Death in traditional tarot. It doesn't mean life ending. What it means is that you're about to recreate yourself and you're looking at January as the target date. So there's something new you're going to launch in January. And right now you're just kind of holding your power back. So I could say you're saving up money, you're gathering resources, you're doing all of that right now because it's about you holding back to do the big launch. So this in traditional tarot is the Queen of Wands. Now the Queen of Wands can represent a woman around you that you actually really like and trust. I don't think this is a romantic connection at all. I actually think this is a business connection of somebody that you're going to align with. But she's also a vibration, and her vibration is one of being a giver, but in this case, a giver by choice. So it's not you being generous for the sake of being generous. And it's not you giving out, if you had $10 in your wallet, you give $5 out to somebody that just said they needed it. It's you deciding to hold back. There's a fella here that is proved, and I'm moving forward to the next card. This is the Emperor in traditional tarot. It's called the Rebel in my deck. All right. I like to refer to this card as the Donald Trump card, because when it's reversed, it's Donald Trump on a bad day. And when it's upright, it's Donald Trump during the Celebrity Apprentice, right? His heyday, right? So, and it's funny because I'm not necessarily naming his presidency as his heyday because so much focus was on that poor man in a lot of ways that even if he'd saved someone's life, they would have spun it around going, well, he didn't sanitize his hands first. I'm just saying, okay. But this is the Donald Trump card. Take it or, whatever you think of Donald Trump. But there's somebody around you that's like this. And you have found out recently he's all talk and doesn't have any credibility. And so you're learning, and I think this is part of this new beginning, you're stepping away from the people that haven't proven to you that they are what they say they are. And that's why, in a way, you've been a bit under the radar lately, because you only want to align with people that have already proven themselves. And then this last card is saying when you focus on one thing at a time, you're brilliant. But you have to make yourself focus on one thing at a time, because there's this desire or this energy that you want to do this and you want to do this and you want to do this at the same time you're doing this. And I'm telling you, when you focus on one thing at a time, you're brilliant. Now, that usually resonates to a young man that would be an air sign, so Aquarius, Libra, Gemini. When is your birthday?
February 18th.
So you're Aquarius. Okay.
Yeah.
So by the way, Donald Trump, I think, is a Gemini. All right. Again, air sign men, they live in their head. Okay. They have to fall in love, whatever it is, with their head first. Again, it doesn't, if something comes in a beautiful package, you go right for why is it beautiful? You don't go for the surface. So a lot of people don't understand you romantically. And in a way, that's kind of the vibe that's going to carry into 2022 for you. But you like chaos. If things aren't chaotic, you don't think it's normal. But you're about to reinvent yourself or go to a whole nother level as of January of 2022. And by the way, in numerology, 2022 adds up to a 6. 6 is the number of love. All right. So it's what you love. Now, when you get to what you love, it actually perpetuates your success.
Wow. I have to say it was pretty close, pretty spot on.
Well, you were ready to hear it or you wouldn't have drawn cards. Oh, and that's another thing. If one of the worst scams I ever heard was this woman had just lost her husband. She was walking. I won't even tell you the mall. I won't even go in that mall just because of the story. I won't tell you what one it is. But this woman was walking around in the mall. She was in at a makeup counter, cosmetic counter. She was just looking at some things. And this woman sidled up to her and said, I have to tell you, I'm just picking up some really, really intense energy. Now that's a fishing line, right? I didn't ask you any questions when I did these cards. I just told you, right? And by the way, people don't know why I'm different until I tell you why I'm different, okay? So, but anyways, this woman sidles up to this other woman and she goes, I'm just picking up this really intense energy with you. Is everything okay? To which the woman said, I just lost my husband and I don't know what to do with myself. And so this is where it gets really awful. This woman says to her, your husband is suffering on the other side. So one thing led to another. And by the time the woman called me, this person had taken her for about $80,000. And she would call her and say, it's time for me to light that candle again. I need $5,000 for you to buy this special candle so I can light it and do a special prayer for him so he's not suffering. Now, here's the thing. When I actually talked to her, we almost were able to prosecute this person. And at the last minute, she got too embarrassed and didn't press charges. That's what happened. And that's what these people count on, is for someone to be too embarrassed to actually press charges. But her husband before he passed, was a huge cynic. So he would have never aligned with this, and he wasn't suffering on the other side. If anything, it was probably him that directed her to me for her to go, okay, this is bullcrap, and I'm basically being conned. Do you see?
Yeah.
But that's why That's why the psychic arts license, you know?
And that's why there's a lot of ambiguity surrounding it, because you can tell when people are fishing for questions or it's very vague statements. This here was very, very direct.
Well, but that's my mojo. Is like, if I'm picking up about you something and I'm looking at your cards and I'm saying, see, what I keep getting is there's something that happened for you in around August that now you're staying under the radar, which is totally fine, right? I actually support the idea of you being under the radar and relaunching into something in 2022. And it's saying January is the power month for that. But that you waiting until then actually brings more power to it. It's like if you planted a field of corn, well, you can't harvest the corn until the corn's there, right? But you've planted the seeds and they're growing now. You have to wait till they get on the other side. Do you see? It's like, it would be fun if you did, Jake Torr's marijuana lounges, where you actually found the best of them. Well, with your background, that would be a really great thing for you to vet. Say, well, this is the one you want to go to. This is not the one you want to go to. Like, if I were to ever be hired to do entertaining readings like this at a marijuana lounge, I would insist that there would be some sort of air diffuser, because I don't smoke marijuana. Mm-hmm. I don't want to leave with any kind of feeling that I've been smoking marijuana. Do you see what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like, I would insist that they would have some sort of air purifier in whatever area I was in, so that I didn't walk out smelling like a joint, right? And by the way, speaking of that, when I got licensed as a reader, and a lot of readers will get licensed and they'll hang their license at a store, right, where they have psychic readings. Well, I never did it that way. I always rented my own space, because then you could, you have your own space, right? But the reason I never worked in any of those stores is because, first of all, I don't want anyone overhearing what I'm telling someone. That's number one. Makes it more private. And number two, I don't want people leaving my place smelling like a hookah lounge.
Yeah.
Right? Because they burn sage and incense and all that. And that's fine, and I would recommend any of these readers that's how they get their license initially. That's great. But look for another place to hang it when you actually kind of get your groove and feel like you have something.
Yeah, you want something of your own, that the energy in the room is pertinent to you. That's like when you walk into anyone's bedroom or their living room. Right. It's different because it's built for a specific purpose.
Exactly. And the thing is that I always admire people that can work with less, that are incredibly pragmatic with what's being presented to them. And you're a really good example of that, is that you don't need a lot of stuff, right? Because this sounds so hokey, but if you got your brain, if you got your health, if you got that going for you, you can do freaking anything, right?
It's facts. It's minimalism. That's why the younger generation is realizing and turning to that.
Right.
I had my first business actually was an antique store, and because my parents grew up they're born in the 50s, and so they grew up through the hippie era,
sure, yeah.
and so their house is fully crowded with antiques and things that they love. And I've noticed that the parent or the children of this generation tend to go towards the minimalism because they want something that's a little bit more favorable to their degree. Right.
Well, and I was at a networking breakfast this morning, and somebody did a "Did you know?" And when she got up and did the "Did you know?" Did you know that the average house has 300,000 items in it?
That is insane to me.
Isn't that crazy?
That is insane to me.
And the thing is that my biggest thing lately has been to go through and just start getting rid of stuff, because
it's tough too, because you have a tie to it. There's a lot of the things that exist in the house that are stuffed away in like a drawer. You still have a nostalgia attached to it. That's the reason like hundreds of birthday cards.
Or anniversary cards, or tickets to concerts, or the best concert my husband and I ever went to was up in Lake Tahoe, and it was Sting and Peter Gabriel on the same stage.
Ooh.
Absolutely amazing.
And you never want to forget that moment.
No,
and anytime
ever.
you look at that, it brings you back to it.
Right. But it's, you start collecting all these little things. And maybe we just need to start taking pictures of it and putting it on our phone. I had that one time, and then give it away to someone that appreciates it. So I remember the lady that taught me how to do tea leaves. Now I'm going back to when I was a teenager. She had this silver dipped rose. So it was a silver dipped rose in a vase, right? So basically silver plated. and it was sitting on her dining room table. And for whatever reason, I just loved that rose. And every time I saw it, I went, that is the most beautiful. And I didn't know why. I was just so drawn to it. And I think the third time I said it, she goes, I'm giving this to you. It's a gift. And I said, oh, no, you don't have to do that. I just said, no, I want you to have it. You know, and I don't know which custom it is, but there's some custom out there, and it might be India, that if somebody compliments you more than 3 times, that you're supposed to give them the thing that they complimented you, because they need it more than you do, in a way. Now, I guess you would temper that with whatever it is. Oh, I love your Rolls Royce. I really love your Rolls Royce.
I really love your house.
yeah, but you know, that's if it's something like that. But and I don't know what culture it comes from. But somebody told me that once, and I went, "Wow, okay." So my husband knows if I say that's very, very, very nice, then he knows I want it.
Interesting. Yeah, cultures are something that have a lot of distinction between them. So on that note, when somebody comes to you, right, you've probably seen every background from people who live in Asia, India, religious backgrounds. Are there any commonalities between people who are from the same culture and their readings?
I will, with some of the cultures, yes, because I get some women that come to me that have been positioned to be in an arranged marriage, and they don't want to marry the person that their family has intended for them. That still happens, which kind of blows my mind a little bit. And usually I give them an opportunity of how they don't have to marry the person there's usually a caveat that if you don't meet somebody, you're marrying so-and-so over here in 2 years. So they have this little deadline to meet somebody.
It's a lot of pressure.
Right. But here's the thing. They don't have to marry anybody because they're in the United States. You see what I mean? So it's not like they might be shunned from their family initially, but hey, you know, one of the women that I talked to is actually a physician, and she's incredibly successul, but her brother's also a physician. So he gets more accolades than she does because of the family culture, right? And even though the brother's not married, right, he still gets more accolades. And the reason she gets kind of downplayed or dissed is because she's not married. So she's supposed to be married, have children, and be a talented physician for her family to think that she's at the same level, and maybe even not still, as her brother. So yeah, I get that. Mostly people come to me to hash out an issue that they don't want to talk about with anybody else. You know, it's like there was a woman who, she was married, and I talked about this the other day with somebody. She was married to her husband, but she and her husband had this sort of alternate lifestyle that on the weekends they would swing with other couples, right? Basically, you know, share partners. Well, there was this one particular couple that they had, you know, little fun playground for the weekend, right? Well, she actually fell in love with the other person's husband. So now where they look at it as just a warm place to put it on the weekend, right? She was looking at it as a romantic thing. Well, now it didn't become basically a sexual playground anymore. Now it became really uncomfortable for her. And so I said, it sounds to me like you don't want to be married to your husband, and that this man is a catalyst so that you don't have to be married to your husband anymore. That's what I'm getting. She goes, well, maybe that is it. I go, because you know he loves his wife. The only reason they do this on the weekends is for him to get that sexual thing out of the way, because in every other way they're connected. I also have a fella that came to me that he and his wife have been married for 10 years. And the agreement was that he just didn't like sex, and that he was marrying her for every other reason but that. And that, would she be okay with that? And she was. So they have a marriage that has nothing to do with sex. They're doing everything else. They're going to nice dinners. It's not like there's not hugging going on or anything like that.
Yeah, there's love, affection.
Right.
It's just the sexual encounter.
Just, it wasn't his thing, right? And it wasn't that he married her for the perception of people out there, for an image. It wasn't that he was gay and married her for that, because he wasn't into men either. It was just, he didn't sex just bugged him. It was annoying to him. which, I've heard it all, actually. I really have.
Yeah, I could see for some people coming to you, maybe their therapist, or they aren't getting the answer they want from their therapist or their husband or significant other or their kids. And so they come here and they're looking for a different medium or a different unconventional path to seeking that answer or the solution.
Well, sometimes people just come to me out of curiosity, just because they want to see what I have to say. And usually when I'm looking at someone's reading, I'm looking at where can they go from here with what they already have, right? And I'll tell people that if you can look at your life right now as though it's the perfect place for you to begin, it doesn't matter where the starting point is. You can start at the 2-inch mark on the ruler, or you can start at the 10-inch mark on the ruler. Either way, you'll eventually get to the end of the ruler, right? But at some point you have to be aware of, okay, what do I want? And that's the secret is, see, people don't get this with you, but you get it. It's like, to have what you want, you simply just need to want it. And when you want it, there's this magical thing that happens that what you need ends up crossing your path, and then it's your choice to take advantage of it, whatever that is. It's like I can't even give you an example right now, but I think you know what I mean.
It feels like destiny almost, or it's like the phrase of preach it, or what's it, put it out into the universe and the universe will reward you, something along those lines. I'm a heavy believer in that too.
Well, and the universe is always on your team. It's the people that go into the big pity party of why are these things happening? Sometimes you have to go down a different hallway than the one you keep going down. And that at some point when you decide that that's okay to go down a different hallway, everything starts to shift. Mm-hmm. So it's, I have to tell you that probably the biggest reason people come to me is that they want to go through an issue. They want to solve a problem. They want to get something off their chest. It doesn't go any further than me. So when we're talking about something, maybe they had an affair with somebody and they feel incredibly guilty, but do they fess up to their spouse that they had an affair, especially if they have 2 kids to raise? Now we go into, well, your obligation is the 2 kids. You have to create and have a good foundation for those kids. So some people do behavior, what I call deal breaker behavior, specifically to get out of a situation. Like I have seen in the readings I do for people, I've seen men behave badly enough so that the wife won't put up with him and they'll ask for a divorce, even though he's the one that basically initiated the behavior, right? Deal breaker behavior. So, affairs, addictions, money crap, whatever it is, all of it. It could be any of those deal breaker behaviors. But then he gets to go, oh, my wife left me. Without saying, well, I caused it.
What's that, Munchausen syndrome? Or
maybe that is. But
it's something. Yeah, it's like where the mother purposely harms the kid so that other people can feel sympathy for her for whatever she's going through, or the husband. Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
I think it's Munchausen by proxy, I believe is what it's called. It's an interesting phenomenon.
Well, I'm flashing on the movie Yes Man, because what's her name with the big blue eyes? Zoe Deschanel. All right, her band is called Munchausen by proxy. That's the band. Have you seen the movie?
Yep.
Okay. I love that movie. That movie is actually a lot of what I agree with. It's like, when you look at the series of events that happen in that movie, another one of my favorite movies that goes along with putting your purpose out there. Have you ever seen Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Oh my gosh. This movie is one of the goofiest movies ever made. I saw it in the theater when it came out, and I wasn't sure. And then the second time I saw it, after someone told me that it was based on Homer's Odyssey. So the second time I saw it, it had a whole different meaning for me. But it's, it's putting the purpose out there for having a life that's different and being in the moment to take advantage of what ends up happening along the way. I mean, that's our whole life. It's that these beautiful things start to happen. Like, You know this has happened. You've wanted to go to a concert, and out of the blue, someone says, dude, I got 2 tickets to this. You want to go? Yes, because you put it out there. You wanted it, and it came back. So
yeah, the universe is on your side always.
Right.
Before we get out of here, tell me a little bit about your radio show, Psychic View, or I say your broadcasts, because this was an awesome reading. It was
Thank you.
It was shortened, and you did mention that you do this live on air as well.
Yeah.
How do you go about that?
So I'll draw the cards for people. So now I've been doing my Psychic View radio program on the internet since 2010. So I have about 900 shows that I've done in all these years. Well, when I do it live, people will call in and they'll ask me a specific question. So with you didn't say a word. I just did your cards. And that's usually what I do when I do special events. People will just draw the cards and I'll just tell them what's going on. But when I do the program, I have them ask a specific question. And the questions that are out of bounds, which you can't ask, what does Spirit want to tell me? What's my future hold? Because that's a full reading with me. So if you ask a specific question, what's going on with my career? There's a jerk I'm working with. What's going to happen with him? What's going on with my husband? What's going on with it? They'll ask me specific questions and I'll answer it. And I'll pull out the 5 cards and I'll answer it. And my program used to be an hour long. Well, I've shortened it to half an hour because these little readings only last 3 to 5 minutes. So I'll get as many callers as I can in that 3 to 5 minutes. Basically what that is an audition. I'm auditioning every single time I do that because some people will then turn around and actually call me for a session, and that's great. But I have to tell you, I have probably 200 calls that they try and call in every single week to ask a question. Now, I have a list of all their phone numbers. So when I go to broadcast, I can see who's on hold 15 minutes before the show. So I will literally look up their phone numbers, and anyone that's a new caller gets on the air first. So if you were to call in my radio program, I wouldn't recognize your number, and I would let you come on the air because you're a new caller. Because all these people that are kind of take advantage of the fact that they get this free psychic reading, I don't mind that. And if I don't have any new callers, I will take the ones in the order that they're received. But basically, that's what I do is I answer a specific question, and then I do a special program around New Year's. So sometimes New Year's Day, sometimes New Year's Eve, sometimes a couple days after New Year's, where I do a 2-hour program, and you can ask me, what do I need to know for the year ahead? Then that's my most popular program because and they line up, man, because they know I do this every year. So I spend the whole 2 hours doing this, and then I sometimes I'll replay it throughout the year because it's fun to replay.
I love that. So what is the programming schedule for your show?
So at Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific, between 9 and 9:30, I do this live program. And I do it on Blog Talk Radio. So it's easy to connect to it through my website, which is www.mona.vegas. So if you can just connect right through to it. You don't actually need to be connected to the program to call into the number. And that's a lot of people have an alert on their phone. And they know that they can call between 9 and 9:30, so they set the alarm on their phone. And again, that's why I have a list of all the people that have ever called into my program, because I could get the same person calling every freaking week.
Yeah, if they love you, they're devout. You've been doing it 10 years.
And I love every one of them, but it's not fair to the people that are calling in new. So that's why I filter the calls and make sure that I get the new callers on first.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure it took a few years to figure that out too.
It did take a few years. Yeah, but when I finally did, actually what I did is I actually put all the phone numbers in my phone. So as I'm waiting for the program to start, as people are lining up, I'm checking the number in my phone. And if I know their name's in my phone. But if they're just a caller, I'll put them in as a caller. But that's how I know.
That's a great life hack.
And I date it. Yeah, I date it. So the person's phone number, if I get their name, I'll put it in there. But I'll put the date they first called.
So you know how long they've been a part of your community.
Yeah, it's very cool.
That is incredible.
Yeah. Now, it was tedious to do when I first did it, but then I did it. And then once I did it.
It's very rewarding if you come across a phone number and they've been with you for 7 or 8 years, right? You're
right.
Like, Jack, I know you, the homie, right? We'll get lunch one day. I have one parting question for you.
Sure.
A question I ask every single guest on the way out. What does Las Vegas mean to you?
This is the biggest karmic final exam that anyone can find themselves in. And that's what I tell people. It's like this city gets under your skin. You can do anything here. You can have a Reuben sandwich at 2 a.m. And thank God they're bringing some of the buffets back, because I really do like a good buffet. But really, it's the biggest final karmic exam. If you think about it, we can do anything here. You can hire sex here. You can do marijuana here. You can gamble here. You could go to a beautiful Michelin star restaurant here. I mean, everything is here. I always think it's amazing that people can try and cram Vegas into one weekend, because you can't. And then we have all this beautiful around us. We can go to Hoover Dam. We can go to Valley of Fire. We can go up to Red Rock. There's some beautiful places to go. We have skiing and Mount Charleston during the winter. People don't know all this other little stuff. But the other thing we have here is we do have a real strong sense of community, if people would just tap into it.
Yep. And that's why everyone's beginning to, especially the tourists, are beginning to travel down to the Arts District we're recording, to downtown Vegas, out to Mount Charleston. I always said Vegas is the most diverse outside of just being culturally diverse, but in terms of entertainment, where else, what other place in the country can you go snowboarding in April and then the same day go to Encore Beach Club and go tan at the pool?
Okay, well, I can even say it's something different. What other place in the same building can you go see a new release movie and then go to a really amazing dinner in the same building? Right. So if you, for example, Red Rock, you go to an amazing theater, you watch a first release movie, and then you walk around the corner and you go to T-Bones, or you go to the Italian restaurant there, which, by the way, that Italian restaurant has the best meatballs in the city ever. Sal's meatballs, man, they're just out of this world.
Take that down. And it's we're so acclimated to it. It seems so normal, but that does not exist in most other places.
Oh no, it doesn't. And you take it in stride when you first. I mean, the first time you see like most of the theaters now have gone stadium seating. They're really good stadium seating with the big recliners, mm-hmm. right? Well, now you can reserve your seat on opening day for a movie and then go to a nice dinner, right? I mean, it's fantastic. But you're right. You could snowboard in the morning and then go to the pool in the afternoon here in April. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
It's wild. That's why I love the city. And we're growing fast. A lot of Californians moving out here, but just all over. And with the adaption of remote working,
right.
Now you have people from all over, from all different backgrounds and professions coming out here to
right.
live. So where outside of Mona.Vegas, is there anywhere else for those who are listening or watching on YouTube to follow you?
So I'm on Instagram as Mona Van Joseph, and also Psychic View. So I have both of those accounts. I'm on Twitter as The Mystic Mona. So any of my events or anything that I post is out there on that. I'm on Facebook as Mystic Mona. So you can follow me on all of those things. What I have found is when I started promoting the program about 20 minutes or a half hour before I actually went live, that's when I get more of my new callers, because I'll hashtag it and I'll put it out there, and I'll get more new callers by more than Twitter. It's Instagram, and not on Facebook. It's Instagram that I'm getting the new callers coming from.
Wow.
Because they tell me, I found you on Instagram. I thought I'd give you a shot.
Beautiful.
Right.
I'm glad to see that you're growing. Thank you for doing this. It's incredible.
Oh,
that was my first reading. You were, I'd say 92% there. It's opened my eyes a little bit more to everything in the intuitive. What is it? It's called tarot consultant.
So yeah, I officially call myself an intuitive tarot consultant. And again, I'm going to be the first to tell you that I'm not always right. But usually people leave with something valuable after they have visited with me, because I'm going to give them a different perspective. It's like I have people that call me about deals that, should I work with this person? And I'll tell them the honest truth that maybe you might not want to work with this person, or maybe you want to vet them a little bit more, or I'm getting red flags all over this person, or that person is the most amazing person you've ever met and trusted. Because I'll get that feeling with when they ask their questions. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing your time with us. We'll have to do this again sometime in the future. I hope everyone that's listening goes and follows you and gives you a little bit of a tie, or at least call in for the 5 minutes and get one of your questions answered.
That's right. Thank you for having me on your program.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for listening and watching. We'll catch you next time.